If the flesh is dead, then the spirit becomes alive. And there's so much that can be accomplished in the spirit realm. Today, God wants to share something with us. Just give me 1 minute.
Water?
Yes. Today we're going to look at 3 storms that was recorded in Scripture. There are more, but there's 3 of them we want to look at because there's a storm. There's a storm coming. The storms we're going to look at, they were severe. The first storm, there was loss of property and life. The second storm, a man was thrown overboard in the sea. And the third one, there's a man called Jesus, and he spoke to the storm, and immediately that storm ceased. Three storms we look at. Whether we like it or not, we are going to go through one of them, or maybe all of them. The interesting thing about the storms were not the main event. The storm was just a distraction. Just think about it. You have a major storm, but the storm is not the main event. And we ask ourselves, what storm are we going through? So tonight, this morning, I want us to visualize where we are in our Christian life, because something is going on. But you see, one of the good things about our Father, He doesn't just take you through something. He prepares you. In Ephesians 6, reading from verse 10 to 17, read this. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Put on the whole armor of God, that He may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take on unto you the whole armor of God, that He may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having your breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." You see, before something happens. Before you go through things, God is preparing us to go through it. So, last week we spoke about the spirit and the flesh. Now, only in the spirit we can be well protected. You see, now tell me, get my glasses, okay? So I just want to double check something. Okay, good. Just check it. Okay, I don't see any shield. I don't see the sword. I don't see the breastplate. I'm looking at it. Just Kristen, I'm looking. I'm not seeing this. Are you seeing my shield, my helmet? Guess what? We can see the breastplate, the sword, the shield. Guess what? It's there. You see, our weapons are not carnal, but they are mighty. We cannot physically touch them, but it's there. And we realize that we are going to say that the fiery darts of the enemy kind of penetrate us. It kind of comes through because we are well protected. You see, now we're talking about the storm. See, we're going to go through the storms, but they'll not overflow us. So let's take a look at the first one. We're looking at Jonah, the book of Jonah, first Jonah. We'll read from verse 1 to 6. You know, anytime you hear about Jonah, the next thing you'll think about is the whale. We have Jonah and the whale. This is the story of Jonah. But there's more to it than that whale. Jonah, we read from verse 1 through 6.
Jonah or Jonah?
Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, and said, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. And Jonah arose to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa, and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it. He went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. And when the mariners cried, every man and the mariners were afraid, and cried every man unto his God, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea to lighten it of them. But Jonah was gone down into the side of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep. So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God, if so be that God will think about us, that we perish not. Now the whole book of Jonah is wrapped up in these 6 verses. God gave Jonah one commandment. In other words, gave him one instruction. Tell him, Jonah, I want you to go to Nineveh and cry out to the city. In other words, God was saying to Jonah, I have some of my children out there that need to hear my word. And I have assigned you, I have given you instructions to go to Nineveh and speak unto those people. I don't know where your Nineveh is. I don't know what God is calling us to go. But God is calling some of us specifically to go to our Nineveh, wherever that is. Guess what he has done? He prepared Jonah. Now, you see, how did he prepare Jonah? The mere fact that God called him, he was prepared. You see, God will not call you, call me, call us, if we are not prepared for the assignment that He's given to us. When God gives instructions and tells you go, He knows that we are ready. See, as Emmanuel said, obedience. God said go, we say wait. God said jump, we say how high. You know, this is the thing sometimes. We keep forgetting that we are not our own. Christ paid the price for us. You see, we are soldiers of the cross. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone who is in the military, they know when your commanding officer tells you or gives you a command, you go. Because you don't belong to yourself. You belong to the state. And when you're given instructions, you follow them. But what about us as Christians? Sometimes we forget we are soldiers of the cross. We forget who we belong to. And so God gives us instructions and says to us, I need you to go and minister to this person out there. And we look and say, that's what Jonah said. These people are too wicked. His scripture is very clear. He said, you see, when God sent him, He said, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for the wickedness is come up before me. So God acknowledged that these people were wicked. But I found out something some time ago. God has some of these children that He said are wicked too. Now, just imagine that. Not because wickedness exists that God don't care. God wants to save a wicked generation. And He prepared a man to go. And Jonah decided, you know what? This is not for me. Send Brother Paul over there instead. And Jonah decided to go the other way. He was supposed to go east to Nineveh. He decided to go west to Tarshish. He said, no. And this is what we do. God tells us to go one direction, we go the other. Because either sometimes we think the task is too big, or maybe we don't like the people that we need to minister. You know what, this person, they did this, or they did that, or whatever they did, we think their sin is too big, so we shouldn't minister to them. Or they're too wicked. So our friend Jonah decided to go the other way. And looking at a map, from Joppa to Nineveh is approximately 550 miles. From Joppa to Nineveh, to Tarshish is approximately 2,500 miles. Now, it's easy to go 550 miles than it is to go 2,500 miles. And he decided to go as far as it is he could possibly go from his assignment. The gentleman got instructions to go to Nineveh. The gentleman said, nope, I don't want this assignment. Can you imagine? God called Moses to lead a generation out of Egypt and prepared him for this assignment. And when it's time for Moses to go, Moses said, God, I cannot speak. And an entire generation is waiting for one man. Now what I found about the story of Jonah is that He decided to go take that sheep and go someplace else. But God decided in His mercy. Now, that what is puzzling to me about this. Now, God has so many prophets out there. Couldn't He have found another willing man to go? He could find a willing soul. Somebody else who is willing to do the job. But God did something interesting. Even in our disobedience sometimes, God shows up. But this time, He sent a storm. He sent a storm to correct the situation, to correct that injustice, because there were men's life at stake. And sometimes, when we have taken the path the opposite path where God wants us to go, He will send a storm in your life. He will send a storm in my life. He will send a storm in our life. You know, because these souls are too precious. We cannot afford, God cannot afford to lose that nation. So He sent a storm. I don't know what we are going through or what you're going through. Maybe you might be going through a storm right now. Maybe you're going through something and you're questioning, what is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this difficulty? Stop for a moment and evaluate and see what is going on. Am I being disobedient to the Father? And is this why this storm has arisen? Is this why this storm came about? Now, Jonah, man, fell asleep. Just imagine a major storm and the man is sleeping. Because he wanted to just forget his assignment. You know, take it away. You know, he's sleeping, he wouldn't think about it. But God had other plans. God caused a storm to come. The mariners decided, you know, there's something wrong with this. Because when you travel on sea, and when you're a sailor, you know what is natural. But for some reason, maybe they find something is unusual. So they decided to cast lot, and the lot fell on our poor friend Jonah. Now, just think about it. They decided to take lots and say, hey, meaning anymore. You know, but it fell on Jonah. Now I guess he really felt, oh gee, they got me. But here's the thing. God is so loving. God is so forgiving. He didn't send a shark. He didn't send one of these killer whales. You know, just imagine, they said a fish, just a big fish. Now, if a shark came, the shark will bite him, cut him up in pieces. Now, there's some killer whales you see, their mouth is not so big. They'll cut you up. But God had designed a special fish to swallow up Jonah. Now, isn't this a loving God? Isn't this a merciful God? Isn't this a God who loves us, who cares about us, even in our disobedience to Him? Even if we are not following His instructions, He still finds in Himself mercy. He still finds love. And He says, even in our disobedience, you show up. What that says about our Father. When God has given us specific assignments, specific instructions, what it means is He has prepared you, and He's not going to take somebody else, and He's going to go the extra mile to find you wherever you are. You're going to hide from Him. In the bottom of the ocean, you're going to hide from Him. In the belly of the ship, you're going to hide from Him. He's going to find you wherever you are. When the day comes for the assignment you've given, that God has given unto you, He's going to find you. He's going to find us. We cannot hide from Him. When I was meditating on this, all what I saw was love. All what I saw was compassion. All what I saw was forgiveness. Jonah literally turned his back and ran the other direction. The assignment that God has given to us, wherever our Nineveh is, whoever God has called you to minister to or to bring His word to, whatever instruction God has given us, let's do it. Because He's going to send a storm. He is going to send a storm. And He will shake us. He will rock us to the core until we realize, listen, Jonah gave up. He said, you know what? Throw me overboard. Now, in our mind, we'll think the man is going to commit suicide. But Jonah knew God. And Jonah knew that this assignment that God gave unto him had to be done by him. Not anybody else, but by him. So whatever we are going through, whatever it is that we need to do, what we have to do is take a little faith like Jonah. Die to self. What happened when Jonah jumped in or he was thrown into the sea? Self died. And the spirit man arose. 3 days in the belly of the fish, his spirit man arose and said yes to God. I'm going to take the assignment. Whatever you ask of me, I will do it. And God sent the fish, tell the fish, it's time to take Jonah to dry land. It's time. So when the time comes, God will take us to that place. Proverbs 3:12, he said, for whom the Lord loveth, He correcteth, even as a father, the son in whom He delighteth. The Bible said, whoever the Lord loves, He chasteneth. And He used, in Jonah's case, He used the storm to get his attention. God is willing to do what it takes to get us to that place. Now in this storm, God Himself stirred the water. We're going to look at another storm. We'll look at Mark 4, reading from verse 35. Try so I can compress this. Mark 4, reading from verse 35. On the same day, when the evening was come, He said unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when He had sent away the multitude, they take Him, even as He was in the ship. And there were also with Him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind and waves, beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And He was in the hinder part of the ship asleep on a pillow. And they waked Him and said unto Him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? How is it that he has no faith? Now Harrison is another storm. Now, they're going on to the other side. Jesus himself said to the disciples, we need to go on to the other side. And because of time, I'm not going to read through verse 5. Maybe I just got to put some of the things, but Jesus told his disciples that he wants to go on the other side. Now, why he wanted to go on the other side? You see, while Jesus was here, he was not here idle. He was working. He was busy. He was about his Father's business. Now, we as children of God can never sit idle. We need to be about our Father's business. We need to do what he has called us to do. The work that he has called us to do, we need to do. Now the reason why Jesus was going onto the other side, because there was a man who was possessed with demons. Jesus needed to meet that man, cleanse that man, free that man of this evil spirit. Now, here's something interesting about this. Jesus is about to go and deliver a man that was possessed with a legion of demons. And he's in the ship, going to do a great work, and a storm arose. Now, as I was meditating upon this, I realized something. God didn't send that storm. Now, let's look at it very carefully. You see, there are times God has called you to do something. Now, you see, the enemy operates in the spiritual realm. We can operate either in the spiritual realm or in the physical realm. You see, when we are about our Father's business, we should operate in the spiritual realm. Now, the enemy knows what assignments we have. And the enemy will cause distractions to come. The enemy will cause a storm to come in your life. The enemy will cause all kinds of things to come at us. He'll send sickness, he'll send a lack of job. He'll send something. He'll send a family member. He'll send something at you to distract you from your assignment or for the instructions that God has given to us. But this time he sent a storm. He said, you know what? You see, you saw Jesus as a man, and you think, that's a good time to get him. I'll catch him off guard. He's asleep in the back of the ship, and I'm going to get him. I'm going to send a storm. So this man on the other side will not be delivered. So here's the thing: Jesus is going with his disciples, and he's asleep. And they have been with him. They saw what he did. And that's why when Jesus rose up, he said, that he have no faith. How is it that he have no faith? You see, Jesus was expecting that his disciples would have grown to the state in their spiritual life that they could have also speak to the storm. You see, we sometimes or waiting for God to come down or for the pastor to come and minister unto us because we are sick and we cannot get up or there's something going on and we need to call someone. But Jesus is saying that I've given you the power. I've given you the authority to speak into your life, to speak into this situation. But we stand idly by and we don't speak into the situation. And the situation goes bigger. The storm goes higher. The waves get higher. And now the ship is filled with water. And we think we're about to sink. But He has given us the ability to speak and say to the storms in our lives, peace, be still.
Amen.
But we stand idly by and waiting for the pastor to come by, or waiting for the deacon to come by, or waiting for some minister to come by, some evangelist to come by, or for some missionary from some other country to come by, or a special speaker to come by to get our anointing. But God is saying, I've given you the power to speak to the situation. I have given you instruction. You say, our brother Emmanuel touched right on it on Friday. You're standing by the ATM. You have your card in your hand, but you're not putting the card in the machine to get the money out. You have been empowered. What Jesus said when He left. You see, okay, let's put it this way. The disciples have an excuse. Let's say that. Okay. Though Jesus said they didn't. Okay. But Jesus said to us, greater works will we do because I go to the Father. He said, what He did, He raised the dead. He healed the sick. He allowed Peter to walk in the water. Amen. He turned water into wine. He said, greater works will we do. But we stand at the door. We stand at the ATM with the card and we are not going to put it in because we think we are unable. But the power is within us. We are capable to do more than we can ever think or imagine. He said it's not by might, not by power, but it's by the Spirit. We cannot operate in the flesh any longer. Because in the flesh we are weak. In the flesh our eyes are closed. We cannot see. We have the power. We have the capability to take in territory. We have the power and the authority to speak into this situation. Amen. But we sit idly by as spectators, waiting for someone to push us, waiting for someone to say, oh, do that. But Jesus is saying, whatever storm will come our way, whatever difficulty will come our way, whatever situation will come our way, we can speak into it. If it's a job, we can speak into it. If it's healing, we can speak. Whatever it is that you need, the Father will provide it. For too long, we stand by and as weak. We act weak. We look weak. And the enemy said, you know what? Since they think weak, they act weak, I'm going to stand a storm. I'm going to shake them up a little bit. We are more than conquerors. We are more than conquerors. Jesus didn't die in vain. His blood was not shed on Calvary's cross in vain. His power resides in us. The same power that raised Christ from the dead lives in you, lives in me. It lives in us. We are children of the cross. We are children of a God who cares. We are children of a God who loves. You see, Jesus was going on the other side to make contact with one man. One man. And the storm came. So He rebuked the storm. See, what we said earlier. The storm in your life, the storms in our life is not the main event. It is a distraction the enemy sends. Amen. You know, It's hard sometimes to see it because the storm is so big. The waters is so high. It seems overwhelming us. The water seems going to overflow over us. The boat is filled with water, but that's not the main event. Listen, the boat is about to sink because it's filled, but that's not the main event. You know, sometimes we think that we have gotten so much, we have dealt with so much, we are over. It's too much we can't handle. As Wednesday night out, as the brother said, as Brother Logan said, hold on a little longer. Hold on a little longer, because your victory is at hand. You see, the waves are here. The boat is filled with water, and you see there's no way out. Just imagine, and that's not the main event. You're ready to give up. You're about to sink. But God is saying unto us today, this is not the main event. This is the destruction the enemy has sent our way. The main event was that man who had a legion of demons in him. That was the main event. For one man, the enemy sent a storm. For one man, Jesus was willing to go through that storm. We need to go through the storms in our lives, through the situation in our life, for that one man, that one lost soul that we need to reach for God. The storms will come, but we must go through the storm. Amen. When Jesus delivered that man, 2,000 swine drowned in the ocean. The demons say, send us into the swine. And after the man was delivered, his fellow villagers came. Those who lived in his community saw him. And fear came upon them, and they said, what just happened here? And something I found very interesting. Because of time, I'm not going to kind of read through it. But something I found very interesting. You know what they did? They chased Jesus away. They said, I don't want this man here. But he had completed his assignment. He had completed his assignment. And he left. And you know what that man did? He published what God did for him. Now it was his responsibility to reach his people for God. When God has called us for an assignment and He has given us instructions, we're going to go through storms. We're going to go through stuff that people may not even know that we've been through. But when we come out, we'll come out victorious. And whatever we did on behalf of the kingdom will be acknowledged, because men and women came to Christ because of this one man. Storm number 2. Now, we looked at one storm that God Himself started. When Jonah got into the boat, God started the storm. And I believe when Jesus was going over, the enemy set the storm. Now, I want to try to condense this last storm as much as I can, but just bear with me as I try to condense this. We look at Job. Now, this is something which is, there's so much in this. When we look at this, we look at this pre-storm. There's so much in this. It could be a message by itself. I'm trying to condense it as much as I can, that we see what God is doing. One storm God sent. Now the third one, the enemy sent it. Let's try to go through this quickly. Job 1. We read from verse 1. There was a man in the land of Oz whose name was Job. And this man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance was, okay, I'll give you substance. His substance was also 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household, so that he was the greatest man of all. He was the greatest of all men of the East. Jump to verse 6. And now there's a day when the sons of God came to the presence of to present themselves before God, and Satan came also among them. I want to jump a few verses to kind of split this again. And verse 8, and the Lord said unto Satan, how thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feared God and eschewed evil. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Doeth Job fear God or not? Hast thou not made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side, that thou hast blessed the work of his hand, and the substance is increased in the land? But put forth thy hands now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. We'll touch on what some of this in a few minutes. God said about Job to the enemy, have you considered my son? Now, this is what God is saying about us. Or is God saying that about us? Have we considered my son or my daughter? Put your name here. God is saying about Job, he is a perfect man that fear him. And the enemy observed one thing. And this is here for an example. This is here to remind us what God is doing for us. The enemy observed one thing. That God had put a hedge about Job. God had put a hedge about his possession. God had put a hedge around his family. God had put a hedge around everything that he possesses. God is saying to us, there's a hedge around about you. There's a hedge round about your employment. There's a hedge round about your house. There's a hedge about everything we possess. There's a hedge about it. There's a protection about it that the enemy can reach you. So, you see, we have to understand who we are and understand what is around us. There's a hedge of protection round about us. Let me put it this way. Your job is protected. Amen. Your household is protected.
Amen.
Whatever you possess is protected. Amen. Don't walk in the spirit of fear. Because God said, I've not given you the spirit of fear, but the spirit of love and a sound mind. He has not given us. Amen. You see, when we walk in fear, we'll be conquered by the enemy. The enemy looks for fear. The enemy looks for some area where he can target. Don't let it be that. Amen. Because God has a hedge round about us. Amen. So, God allowed the enemy to touch Job. In verse 16, a couple of things happen, but I just want to look at a few things. In verse 16, he said, why he was yet speaking, there came another and said, the fire of God, listen to this very carefully, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and have burned the sheep and the servant and consumed them, and I alone escaped to tell thee. Verse 19, and behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they were dead, and I alone have escaped to tell thee. You see, a fire came down from heaven. Remember, God said to Satan, I will allow you to do this.
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, in the last and closing days of time, don't believe every fire that comes down from heaven is from God. Don't believe every miracle we see is from God. Don't believe everything we see. Because the enemy is allowing this to come as a distraction. Fire came because God gave the enemy permission to touch Job. Yeah. And he first touched his possession. God is saying to us, lay up treasures in heaven, not on this earth, where rust and moth cannot reach it. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, don't hold on to our possession, because one day it will be taken away from us. And God knew that Job will stand firm. And God knew that Job will still stand and serve him. He lost his children. He lost his cattle. He lost everything he had. The enemy sent another storm. He said the wind came and threw down the house. So, understand that sometimes some storms will come in our lives. And it's the enemy trying to distract us. The enemy is trying to blow us off course. But God is saying, hold on to what I have given to you. Your assignment I have given unto you. Hold on to it. In verse 22, he said, in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. When we know who we are, and we operate in the spiritual realm, our eyes will be open, and we'll see what God is doing. We'll understand what God is doing, and we'll be able to discern that what is happening is not of God. Now, the enemy was not satisfied. He took Job's possession. Now, here's the thing. He took everything Job had. His children. He took his possession. Now, Job now is an ordinary man. He has nothing. And now the enemy comes back to God and says, you know what? Oh, gee, a man is willing to give everything up for his life. Let's touch his life. So God again gave the enemy permission to get through that hedge. And he came in and touched Job with sores and boils. You know, when I looked at that, you know, I was thinking about showing it, but it was too gross. So, you know, but I want us to understand something. That when this came upon Job, and his friends came to him, his friends could not recognize Job. Just imagine the state he was in. His friends could not recognize him. And even his wife at that point said to him, why don't you curse God and die? Sometimes you are going through stuff through no fault of your own, because God has chosen you to go through certain things. And your friends will turn on you. Your parents will turn on you. Your brothers in Christ will turn on you. Because of what God has allowed you to go through. They'll say, this man must have sinned. That's what his friends said. This man must have sinned. He must have done something wrong. So his friends turned on him. His family turned on him. He was alone. You're going to go through some stuff because of the calling on your life. And people will say, oh, you must have done something wrong. The storm you're going through, you must have sinned. That's what was told to Job. Job, you must have done something. Some of his friends came and said to Job, you know, Job, you used to give counsel to others. You used to touch him, you used to encourage him. But now that thing has come upon you and you become feeble. You become weak. You cannot handle. So sometimes we'll go through things in life and you'll be told, you must have done something wrong. This storm that is coming, God is judging you. God sent that storm to your life because you've done something wrong. Here is Job, a righteous man in the eyes of God. A man who fears God, who goes through things that no man should go through. He lost his possession. Now, if you have lost everything and now you were sick, you are born, you know what? Now he's become homeless. His wife turned his back on him. His friends turned his back on him. Just imagine, the friends came and they sat with him for 7 days and said not a word. Silence could be dangerous. You see, if I came here and I stood for several minutes in silence, you would say there's something wrong with this brother. If I stood here for an hour in silence, you say he has lost his mind. But for 7 days, his friends sat with him. His friends that he invited for dinner, his friends who he had counseled with, his friends he supported, and they were friends. He came and they sat with him and said nothing. They sat. I can just imagine what will go through a man's mind when someone comes to visit you and says nothing. This is what happened. But in all of this, Job stood and he didn't curse God. He didn't turn aside. He didn't. He remained faithful. He remained faithful. And because of time, I just want to get to the end of it. Now, here's what happened. Through all of what Job went through, and sometimes we may encounter challenges in our life. Now, the only way we can really understand what we're going through is only if we are in the Spirit. Because you know, in the flesh, we'll turn away. In the flesh, we'll not be able to go through. It's too hard. But in final analysis, when all was said and done, God said in Job 42, his latter was greater than his beginning.
Amen.
It was greater. And you know what God did? God called his two friends and said, go to Job and bring an offering. You know, let Job pray for you. So there may be times when you will be accused of so many things. There may be times when everyone has turned their backs on you. There may be times where someone feels they're not going to forgive you. There may be times when someone has done things to you that you feel that it shouldn't have happened. There may be times when you will be going through stuff. And you may be saying in your mind, what did I do? Job, because God had been silent for a long time. All through this time, God was silent. Until God showed up one day and said to his two friends of Job, Job, did you pray for you? So there are times you're going to go through things. Some storms God will send. Some storms the enemy will send. But we need to hold on. Because we know what the outcome is. We need to hold on. We need to go through that storm that will come. Because God has prepared you. God has designed you. God has empowered you. Empowered us to go through the storm. Because in going through, that's where our victory is. So whatever soul God has assigned to us, we need to be willing to go through the storm to reach them. Whatever the assignment that God has given to us, we need to be willing to go through the storm. We need to be willing to go through it. We need to be able to endure the hardship. See, Paul said he has been through shipwreck. He has been beaten. So many things happened to him in order for him to bring that gospel to someone else. And he is willing to go through. What are we willing to go through for the gospel? What are we willing to do, or what are we willing to do for the gospel's sake? What are we willing to go through? Because there's someone waiting for us on the other side of the storm. There is someone waiting for us on the other side of the storm. I'm just waiting for us to go through that storm because they need to hear from God. To go through.
Amen.
Today's Communion Sunday, and so we just want to thank God because God has been faithful to us. And all the enemy always wants to do is to distract us. And we say, we as children of God need always to operate with the spiritual realm. That we can discern what is of God and what is not God. God is loving. As we saw with Jonah, he was disobedient, but God was still loving. Even in his disobedience, God made a way of escape. So when we hear about Jonah, don't think about a whale anymore. Because anytime I used to hear about Jonah, I always think about Jonah and the whale. But the whale, the storms, it was just a distraction. But God has really worked in me. So wherever our neighbor is, let us reach him by any means necessary. Because God has children in that country to go to. That's our brother Adams. We thank God at times like this.
Come up. She's coming up. She's coming up.
When we can come before the throne of God. Say, when Jesus went to Calvary, he was not only thinking about the folks then, he was also thinking about us now. When he went to Calvary, he paid that ultimate price that we could never pay. And that price he paid was for the entire human race. That they willingly come to the cross and accept Christ as Savior. You must be willing to do it. That blood that flows from Calvary's cross, there's power in that blood. That blood, there is healing in that blood. And that blood runs through our veins. And that will enable us to live this Christian life. Because on our own we are unable. It's only by the blood of Jesus Christ we can. So we will call on everyone who have accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as baptized to stand as we participate in the service. It's something that when you do this, you remember that ultimate sacrifice that God gave, that Jesus did. He said, as often as we do this, we remember as often as we do. And you know, sometimes we take it for granted, but when we stop and we have to really we think of the cross again. And it tells us that it's not me, it's Jesus. So as often as we do it, it always reminds us of the price that we paid. So I want us to just meditate on this for a few minutes. That it's not us, it's Jesus. It's not us, but it's Him. And just imagine, just think for a second, the crown of thorns on His head. Think about the nail that pierced His hands and pierced His feet. Think about Him being pierced through His side. The pain He was willing to endure for us. Think of all that was done to Him. And yet still, at the cross, He was able to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What life? And He's still saying today, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What love that a man would have willing to die on the cross for us. Must be in an atmosphere where it's a very study. So, how do we just
No.
Just imagine His love. Just imagine even in our disobedience and still loves us. Just imagine. Think about how He loves sacrifices. We consider this time very special as we remember our Lord Jesus Christ. We just want to thank God for this. The scripture said, take ye, take ye and eat this body
walking home. Let's take a look. He also said that this cup is the testimony of his blood. So as we remember what God has done for us, let's remember that was so God in his mercy has called us, has saved us, has taken us to a place where nobody else will. So we just want to thank you for what we've seen. And we just remember this is something we need to pray for. We have a lot of students that are going back to school. So you're going back? The second, okay, good. So we just want to pray for them. And we have to ask our brother just to remember those that are going back to school.
Hallelujah. Lord, we bless you. We thank you for that. Lord, there is no other name. None other but you. Amen. Father God, even right now, oh God, we come before you, God. And Lord God, we lift up your name. And we thank you for being in our midst, oh God. Lord God, we lift up every student, oh God, every boy and girl, oh God, that will be going back to school, oh God. Some late, some fall, some to other country, Father God. Lord God, we bring them to you, God, and we ask, oh God, that you will cover them under your precious blood that flows from Calvary, Father God. We pray, God, that you will keep them from all the ways of the enemy, Father God. You see every plan of the enemy, oh God, that you will bring, oh God, to them, oh God, to distract them, to lead them astray, oh Father God, to destroy them, but we call it to naught in the name of Jesus Christ, oh Father God. Lord God, we ask that you will have your way in them. We pray, God, that you will cover them under your blood, oh Father God, in the name of Jesus. They will not be led astray by their friend, oh Father God, in the name of Jesus. Lord God, and we ask that you will touch their mind. We ask, oh God, that you will touch their heart, oh Father God, in the name of Jesus Christ. For your glory and honor, Father God. We pray, God, that you will take them to school safely, cover them under your blood, and bring them back safely to their loved ones. Lord, we ask in your name, but in the name of Jesus.
Amen. I pray that everyone will have a great week. We pray that God will with you and be with you. Be empowered. And knowing who we are in God makes a difference. Because what happens when we know who we are, we see things differently. When we operate in the spiritual realm, we see things differently. So I pray God go with you and watch over you and guide you in all your ways. So let's say the grace before God. May the grace of our Lord
Jesus Christ, love of God, sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit, be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.
Give me 5.
Good.
What are you eating? You don't have nothing else to do. You too. That's why I like you. She said I like your hair. No, no. She said thank you. Did you say thank you? For where? You are telling me how to How was it? How was it? It was good. They were yesterday. All right, later. All right. No, it's not her who's organizing. Yes, that's why. So to send you invitation. Saturday. Sister, I don't have your number too. You know, at first it doesn't know even. Okay. And I'm sure Sister Rebecca until yes. Yes. And another thing I want to ask you. Lucy, I'm coming.
Right here.
Oh no, she doesn't drink. Zara can get it because I can treat it for some tomorrow. Yeah, it makes sense like that. Okay, so when she comes, I talk to her. So I will work with this one. Yes, yeah. I will work with this one. But you have my number. Yeah, we have my number. Yeah. Okay. So let me help you. How are you?
Beautiful girl. Beautiful.
So you are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how you typically like. Yeah. If you put it, I put like a stick beside it.
Thank you. Yeah.